Welcome to another Atchman Kings of War Battle Report, the epic quest number 16, Northern Alliance and Salamanders versus the League of Rhordia. The game was at 3,000 points, and the scenario was Pillage. So I formed my League of Rhordia out of a bunch of my old Altdorf guys from Warhammer. And so I do want to present the list, even though I'm not going to present the other guys' list, just because of some interesting stuff in it. It has 2 regiments of pikemen. They both had Indomitable Will, a horde of foot guard with Indomitable Will and Blessing of the God. The next unit was the Shields of Hettenberg. They gave them Indomitable Will and Han's Sanguinary Scripture. This unit is virtually immovable. It is an amazingly good unit. Since I was playing 3,000 points, I went ahead and used the Razors of Berlanvish. They have melee 3 and gain phalanx and elite. That is just an amazing combo. So I get intrigued at looking at other people's list and how they use things. And so I wanted to try a horde of knights with Indomitable Will and the Brew of Strength. Kind of use it like a giant fast infantry unit. And next I added a unit of mounted scouts and with the black powder upgrade, and something that I thought was really cool. My friend Sean swears by this, and it's putting the hammer of measured force on them. So when they flank charge, they're kind of a surprise to whoever's there. And then I had 3 volley guns, 2 dukes on winged arrowlets, one with the blade of slashing, one with the meat of madness, a baron on a horse with the mace of crushing, an ASB with loot, and what I call the Gandalf wizard. It's a wizard with inspiring talisman, a horse, bane chant, and lightning bolt 3, the battle shrine, and lastly the Duke of Herrenberg, who is amazing when you have that horde of knights and the Duke of Herrenberg nearby. It is a rock hard unit. So I started off deployment. I put a volley gun right next to the edge of the table in case something fast comes zinging around. I put the Lord on wing arrowless there also to prevent the same thing. Next, they put a regiment of pikemen, and within between those was the Gandalf wizard. The next unit was the Shields Dogs of War unit, and then next to them the Razors, and behind the Razors to support them was the War Altar. One of the things I got to say, I just noticed it this morning, and I apologize to John right off, is I thought the Razors were just like regular pikemen, where they had ensnare and phalanx at the same time, and they do not. I don't really think it affected the game on this side of the table, because John, when he did roll to swing it, only did 3 wounds to him, and the odds with the altar being there of him dying were very slim anyway. So Carl and John were basically set up with to fight 2 different battles, so I just did the same thing. I just set up both armies, both sides of my army is like its own little task force. And so here in the middle, since they really didn't have anything there, I put both volley guns and the Baron. Next to them was the horde of knights, and of course the Duke is there next to the knights because he gives them rally 2, I believe. So on the right flank, you can actually see the Duke still standing there next to the knights, and then a horde of foot guard with Indomitable Will, and then a pike regiment, and then the scouts over there in that side. And behind them, I just kind of fortified them with the second one of my flying dukes. And I kind of angled them because I figured in a table like this, when you've left that middle open, it's going to be a lot easier to find those angles you need for flank charges. So on my opponent's left, they had the Northern Alliance were over here. They had a Housecarl troop, a unit of clansmen. They had the double-handed weapons and the Potion of the Caterpillar. And next to them are a unit of Ice Naiads with the Brew of Strength. That's a pretty good combo right there. And then the Lord on the Frostfang and the Cavern Dweller. Now, as I look at this and as the game played, those should not have been deployed there. I know Carl was trying to protect them from my little bit of shooting over there, but those scouts wouldn't have done anything to those 2 things. And besides that, the Cavern Dweller has life leech, so he would have got it back anyway as soon as he started fighting something. But I really think that he should have just put them in line next to the Housecarl troop and just come barreling forward, because my right flank stuff wasn't near as good as my left. The middle of the line was defended by a horde of snow trolls, along with they had the Brew of Sharpness, so that is a very lethal unit. Behind them is a bolt thrower to chip some wounds off of me, And then over to their immediate right on the table, there was a unit of ceremonial guards. So I'm thinking the middle was a little better defended than I thought. Okay, over here on the right flank of the enemies, there are 2 Lacheelodons, and behind them 2 units of Tyrants. Well, that's a pretty good combo, you know, with the Lacheelodons acting as chaff/shooting, and then the Tyrants, of course, are lethal. And behind them, a unit of ceremonial guard, and then I think it's a mounted shaman or something there on the raptor. So right side was very daunting looking, I must say. So my turn, I moved everything forward and just made sure I was out of charge range of everything. The scouts moved up and I believe shot at the Huskarls and wavered them. So that was a good thing for the first turn. In the middle, I moved up with the knights and also pushed the 2 volley guns forward because they had nothing that was in range. And I just didn't want them to hang back out of range the whole game, so I couldn't shoot. And I just figured that the knights could take on any one unit that came forward. That was my issue because if you look in front of me, there's 3 units. So I'm going to have to do something this game to try to equalize this middle section here. So over here, I moved everything forward. I didn't mind go ahead and moving the mercenary shields of Hertrenberg, or whatever their name is, forward because even the Tyrants aren't going to kill that unit in one go. And with the general there on Winged Arrowless and all that other stuff there, I didn't think I was in too bad a shape. The Razors moved forward. They were slowed down by the difficult terrain there, and also the altar moved forward to support that line. I mean, these are, that altar deal with the those pike units are really, really, really hard to get rid of a pike unit that has those things. The last couple of games I've been playing with John, he has been really aggressive, which is cool. So he sent a unit of Tyrants and that unit of Ceremonial Guard in the middle to head toward that middle objective. And I didn't really realize at the time what he was doing, but it became apparent once it gets later in the game. And over on the extreme right of their lines, the Tyrants moved forward a little bit, and the Lacheelodon moved up and shot. But he wasn't as aggressive over there at this time. But like I said, those other 2 big units started hitting right toward the middle. In their turn, Carl had dumped a bunch of wounds onto my horde of knights. I couldn't believe how many I've taken, and then I think I took a lot more on the next turn. So I just backed them up a little bit to get out of charge range of those trolls. Some of the stuff I wasn't worried about, but the trolls I knew could just open me up. So my scouts this time went ahead and shot the Huskarls off the table. Carl had moved everything kind of into the woods just a little bit so it could see out. And then I was staying in line with the unit of knights, and then the count is in there somewhere. And then the general on Winged Arrowless, he went ahead and just turned in an angle. I was trying to use the angles on both of those things. It's something I do when I play my Sam Nordberg list, is to try to see those long flank charge angles, and so that's what I was trying to do there, is maybe catch something moving that didn't expect to get charged. All right, this is a part of the game where I messed up with the Razors. I thought they had his snares well, but they didn't. But on the other hand, John rolled atrociously with that unit, and even if they would have done 15 plus wounds, I still think I would have stayed there, since I had Rally 2 and and Inspiring, of course, there. So that was going to be bad for John's guys because, like I said, he rolled really bad. He only hit me 3 times. So that tells you that the dice were not on his side anyway. Still doesn't excuse me cheating on him, but again, it's the first time I played this army, and I hate to do that, but I did mess up on that one. And then in the middle, his Lacheelodon goes ahead and charges into my shields, and the shields are just going to hold them up for the turn. And over on the extreme left, his unit of Tyrants goes ahead and smashes into my pikemen. So yeah, here's another picture of it. It looks like the Lacheelodon and the Tyrants went ahead and charged into my pikemen there. I don't know if one of those could have done it by themselves, because the pikemen are so hard to take down. But on the other hand, I wasn't within range of the rally, so that's going to make it a lot easier on John to destroy that unit. Over here on the left flank, Carl moved up with his Lord on the Frostbank and his Cavern Dweller. Those are pretty menacing looking, I have to admit. The Clansmen moved up to the edge of the woods so that if I charged them, I would be hindered. Excuse me, and the Ice Naiads moved up as well. You can see the Thane is right in between them. He's providing Bane Chant support, and also he has an Inspiring Talisman, so that's going to be hard to knock those two hordes out. Yeah, John and Carl moved up aggressively right in front of the Knights. I knew that the Knights could take out anything they charged in one go, pretty much. But on the other hand, I also knew if they charged, they would get killed by something else. And so that's why I'm probably just going to leave them there and let them do their thing. Yeah, the unit of Tyrants only does 3 wounds to the Razors. And so the Razors, they hit on 3 with Elite. And I'm going to have Bane Chant support for them. So this is not going to be good for the Tyrants. What's really weird is the Leakelodon actually did more damage than the Tyrants did. So that was an ironic thing. The Tyrants absolutely destroy on the other side, and the Leakelodon absolutely destroy the unit of Pikemen. And so my left flank here is crumbling quite a bit. So I went ahead and sacrificed a unit of my Pikemen and sent it into his Lord on a Frostfang because he is cavalry and those are pikes. So they'll have a little bit harder time taking them down, but I'm pretty sure that the cave thingy next to it is going to eat me alive. The rest of my line just kind of sat there again because I was just out of his charge range. Or maybe I wasn't now. I don't know. But the point being is moving anything forward was going to end up with a piecemeal attack. And so I just decided that I'm better off staying here. Since the Tyrants were stuck, I went ahead and charged them in the flank with the Winged Arrowless, and that's probably going to hurt them. And then the shields go ahead and countercharge that Leakelodon. I am not in good shape here because of the I'm kind of pinned in my own place here, and I'm going to have a flank open. I'm just hoping that my volley gun actually does a little bit and maybe gets rid of the other Leakelodon or something, so that it gives me a little bit of a respite. So the volley gun did go ahead and waver the Leakelodon. I was so shocked I didn't kill it because I did 2 dice worth of damage essentially. The other Leakelodon died this time to the shields, and the shields go ahead and face toward the other unit of Tyrants. The Razors and the Winged Arrowless go ahead and win that fight, and then the Razors go ahead and formation change, and the Winged Arrowless goes ahead and formation change. So now I'm pointed right at the flank of his unit of Ceremonial Guard. Okay, I did decent damage with the help with the volley guns into the trolls. I just tried to chip them down because I think Carl last time rolled like 5 regens and got them mostly back. So I knew that was a pointless thing, but rolling for 6s is just about as pointless as that. So it didn't make any difference at all. My pikeman actually did a few wounds to the general on the Frostfang, so that was encouraging. So in my turn, I'm pretty sure Carl was tired of me, so he went ahead and charges the clansmen that had the great weapons and the ice naiads into my unit of foot guard. And foot guard is really hard to get rid of, especially when you have Inspire next to them, and they also have Indomitable Will. So up at the top, the Cave Dweller goes ahead, or Cavern Dweller goes ahead and charges into the flank of the pikemen. I don't feel very good about their chances of living. So Carl and John had moved up everything else toward the middle. Now the Ceremonial Guard could threaten that middle token. The only thing I saw here as a criticism is that unit of trolls needed to have moved up with those other units, and because it's gonna jig-jag the line, as they say. It leaves an open flank over here for me to exploit on his units there. John did something interesting. His tyrants were not on top of a token, so he moves them sideways, picks up the token, and then the Ceremonial Guard pick up the token. And it's again one of those things is where I can't charge. If I could charge one and absolutely kill it, I might be able to do this. But without that assurance, that's just a good way to lose a unit. So also in John's turn, he had to go ahead and angle the Ceremonial Guard because I was stone in his flank with the General on Winged Beast, and the Razors were coming up too. So he had to do that. I mean, otherwise he would have lost them no matter what. because you got to remember there's heroes on the other side that can see his flank as well. So I must have got excited and not took a picture. So the foot guard countercharged into his clansman, and then the Lord and the Lord on the wing arrowless and the knights charged the ice naiads. What was cool was that I was in the flank of his unit of clansmen. They have really low armor, so in comes the regiment of scouts, and that gives me 28 swings for fours and threes, and so that unit wiped out the clansmen. The knights and both generals knock out the ice naiads, and now I've cleaned off the whole side of the table that has unit strength, and I've still got both of my tokens over here. But there's still a Lord on Frostfang and a Cavern Dweller over here. At first I thought they would split up, charging the one into the scouts and one into the unit of foot guard. But then John kind of notified him that it'd probably be better for them to both charge the same thing, since the foot guard were already on 10 wounds. So that wasn't going to be a good thing at all. So instead they both charge into the foot guard, and I don't recall the result. So the Ancients and the Ceremonial Guard are trying to get that token on the hill. You could actually see it on top of the coconut tree. And both of them charge into the Razors. That ink is not going to be good at all. But on the other hand, if you look behind the Razors, I had jumped the Lord on Winged Arrowless behind his army now. And now he had no flyer defense at all. So this was going to be really nasty for him. Over here, the Cavern Dweller and General Lord on Frostfang do destroy the foot guard, and now the Cavern Dweller has a token. I remember now why that the General on Winged Arrowless is over there behind the unit of Ceremonial Guard. When I could look across the table, I saw the flank of the trolls, and the General on Winged Arrowless just one-shotted the trolls. They were already wounded from a bunch of volley gun fire. So then all it had to do was turn around. Now it's facing the back of the Ceremonial Guard. So that's why they're in such a position. So the double charge did a really good job on my pikemen. It got them up to 15 wounds. But it was not enough to break them, simply because the Battle Shrine is there with its rally. And the second roll, John, I think, rolled like a 3 or a 4 on 2d6. And so that was able to preserve my unit for at least one more turn. So I moved the Battle Shrine over to Lightning Bolt the unit of Tyrants and managed like 1 wound. That's not no big deal. Actually did push the volley gun forward so I could shoot again, but it was going to have the same issue, shooting through cover. So like I said, I just made sure that the shrine was in range of both units of pikemen to hold out just in case something happened. So after the Lord on Frostfang and the Cavern Dweller killed my unit, I went ahead and charged my Lord into the Cavern Dweller to at least keep it pinned in place. The scouts went ahead and did a nimble move and faced the Lord on Frostfang to shoot him up. The General Winged Arrowless jumped the lines and now was facing the back of those two models, so I'm hoping to take them off very quickly. So at one point, I considered turning the knights toward the middle of the table, but then realized that if I did that, I had my rear open from the Lord on Frostfang or the Cavern Dweller, or both. I'm not sure if it was both would have worked, but I knew that I had to go ahead and turn them to the front, because otherwise it was just suicide for a 300-something point unit. So my other Lord on Winged Arrowless went ahead and destroyed the Ceremonial Guard, and you can see they had done quite a bit of damage. And then the Battle Shrine goes in to try to kill off the Ancients, who are inspiring all that mess there. I believe that my unit of the Shields went ahead and charged into the Tyrants, and the reason why is because of the way he was positioned, he did not have a flank on the Tyrants. Or so I thought. Maybe I did. I don't know. But I just thought it didn't really matter because they had the tokens and I didn't. So it doesn't matter if I lose the unit or not. His job is to get those loot tokens away from me. I should have been more aggressive with my arrowless and went ahead and turned it toward the unit, that flank of that tyrant. I still think it would have been too far away, but that would have been a better thing than just letting them sit there and he was gloating thinking about it, and the Razors now have captured that token. So now I have the one in the middle, and then I have all the ones. Actually, I have just two of the ones on the other flank, and they're actually beating us at this turn because John has a unit that has a 2 over there and a 1. I've got the middle 1, and I've got a 2 over here, and his Cavern Dweller has the other 2, I believe. The Cavern Dweller just ignores everything and goes into my Knights, and Knights had taken 9 wounds from all the shooting from that bolt thrower. I finally killed the bolt thrower off with the Baron, but it was really late in the game. Between the damage done by the earlier pike unit and then some really good shooting, the Lord on Frostfang is wavered, and now he is a setting duck to that unit of scouts.
Have a long conversation with Chrissy before we change anything.
Okay, I didn't say I was going to change a damn thing. So the Cavern Dweller ran into the unit of Knights and got them up to 15 points of damage. But with the Duke there, Lord, whatever he is, with Rally 2, he was able to hold off. And then between him, the Knights, and a timely flank charge by the other guy on the winged Arrowlez, he was able to kill him. Now, the wisdom of Sean putting measured force on telling me to put measured force on these scouts shows up in this one. So I just charged the scouts into the Lord on Frostfang and utterly destroy it, and probably wouldn't even have scratched it if I didn't have the measured force on them. So that was a win for that combination. I mean, probably as it starts getting expensive, and it starts getting up the same points as a horde of something else, but it's kind of versatile. You have to just kind of, do I want to do it? Yeah, maybe not. I mean, some games they just get shot off the table, so that they would be useless. But I mean, this game, it was the right matchup for him, I have to say. Yeah, I turned all that stuff too little, too late. I guess I was so thinking I had the game won. I probably could have won the game easily if I would have turned those units after we killed that unit of Ceremonial Guard, but I didn't. Now the Lord on Winged Arrowlez, he's up there, and he should have been, right into the flank of the tyrants that are down here on the end. But like I said, I screwed around for a turn, and so that wasn't going to happen now. Because of being hindered, my shields failed to kill the tyrants, and so John was able to hold the 2-point token with the tyrants, and then the 1-point token with the Ceremonial Guard. So there was no way I was going to get those, and it was turn 6, and they still had another turn left, and I think John was probably just going to wisely back off here, because then I would have to make another hindered charge if it was a turn 7. So this is the last shot of the game of the Razor standing on top of the hill with the token. So I have the 1 token there from him, and I've got the other 3 on the right side of the table. So that gives the League of Rhordia a 4-3 victory, and a very well fought game on both sides. Wow, that was a very tough game. I finally realized later, almost to the end of the game, what John was doing. Well, John was just sending his stuff in as a spoiling attack to keep me from moving forward and grabbing those tokens or loot counters. And then he was up and grabs the loot counters and just starts backing off, which was very well played. Carl did the same thing, did a great job of reaching forward and getting those counters, loot counters, and then try to get away with them. So I was fortunate to grab the ones on the right-hand side, but then Carl recaptured the 2-pointer with his Cavern Dweller, and so then I had to get rid of it. The one in the middle was just finally because I'd broken through Carl's middle, and I was able to pinch the middle there and get the Ceremonial Guard, and then take them off and get that other token. But the key charge of that, and I didn't get it on a picture, was when the Duke on Winged Arrowlez went ahead and flank charged the trolls, and it killed the trolls in one go, then turned around, and now it was right behind the Ceremonial Guard, and that was really the key charge of the game. Carl did a great job dinging me up with those with his bolt thrower on my horde of knights. I thought I was going to lose them before they ever got to do anything, but they held out long enough until the end of the game. And with those 2 with the Battle Shrine and that character that gives rally to cavalry, it is almost impossible to knock those units out, short of just a overwhelming attack, which I know there's things that can do that, but there's not very dang many of them. If you put a healing thing in this list, it would be god awful to try to get rid of. So, but I don't do that. So anyway, I mean, 3,000 point battle against two people. Sometimes the two people have the advantage, and sometimes the 3,000 point person does. It just kind of depends on the people, how used they are to playing together, and I think it kind of goes there. Carl and I play a lot together, but we're not very good. we enjoy playing together because we're really good friends. But our Goblin Alliance army has been sucking it up for a long time, and it's almost a sure loss. We lost our only battle in the only battle I've lost so far in the Epic Quest is when we used my goblins against John and his Salamander army. So kind of interesting combo. The Epic Quest is rolling down now. I've only got, I think, 4 armies left to use, and so I do have a little bit of painting to do, but not a whole lot. And so I should be able to, I think I've just got to finish my War Shrine for my Riftforge orcs. And Carl is finishing up a model for me for my Ratkin slaves, and then I'll be able to field that army as well. So again, I'm looking forward to finishing this thing up and starting on something else. My friend Craig has, we did a group of battles called the Troll Wars, and now Craig wants to do the Giant Wars. So I got to figure out which armies I can use with giants, and then put them together and make a list out of them. I've got a couple of giants, but they're kind of puny looking giants compared to Craig's. Craig's are like 3 feet tall, so I'm going to have to figure out some better giants or bigger giants to use with my force to make my pictures not look stupid. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the battle. Like I said, that was a very close game, and came right down to the wire on turn 6. That was it. So I hope you enjoyed it again, and I hope you watch again next week when I'm getting close to finishing up the Epic Quest.